Christian McCaffrey just won the Offensive Player of the Year award, and it really got me thinking with Klint Kubiak bringing that style of offense over to New Orleans, could Alvin Kamara see some of the same type of success in it as CMC had? And of course, both AK and McCaffrey, their careers have always been kind of linked, right? They both come out of the same 2017 draft class, and they both, of course, played in the same division for a number of years. And if you look at their numbers, like their head to head numbers, they're actually really, really similar, which is kind of weird. Um, they both have, let's see, AK has 101 games to Christian McCaffrey's 91 games. But if you add up the touches, Alvin Kamara only has, I believe, 14 more career touches than Christian McCaffrey. Of course, both guys have missed some games for, whatever reasons, Kamara suspensions, nagging injuries here and there. And then Christian McCaffrey went, a couple year stretch where he just could not get healthy. So if you look at it, McCaffrey has 1,297 rushing attempts to Alvin Kamara's 1,315. So Kamara has about 18 more rushing attempts, but CMC does have more yards than him. Christian McCaffrey has 6,185 yards, and Alvin Kamara has 5,829 yards. So a few hundred more yards rushing for Christian McCaffrey. But if you look at their rush yards per attempt, McCaffrey 4.8, Alvin Kamara 4.4. Um, Kamara does have more rushing touchdowns with 54 to C-Max 52. And then as far as receptions go, McCaffrey beats Kamara on that. He has 509 receptions. AK has 505. And then as far as receiving yards, again, almost identical. McCaffrey has around 4,300, and then Alvin Kamara 4,200 yards per reception. McCaffrey 8.5, Kamara 8.4. I mean, there's just so many different similarities between these two guys. Receiving touchdowns 29 for McCaffrey, 23 for Kamara. Now, what is the big difference, especially over the last couple of years? Obviously, it's the play caller, right? Christian McCaffrey has, over the last couple of years, had one of the best play callers in the history of football in Kyle Shanahan. And, Alvin Kamara has had Pete Carmichael. Now, what does Kyle Shanahan do that makes, his players so successful in that system? It's pretty simple, really. He puts them in positions to succeed. For example, the 49ers like to run a lot of 21 personnel, which is two running backs and one tight end, one of those running backs being a fullback. Now, when a defense sees this personnel come out on the field, what do they think? They think, okay, they're going to run the ball. Well, Kyle Shanahan likes to do the opposite. He likes to come out in that personnel and he likes to pass the ball. And he'll do things to where, he'll come out in that personnel and he'll make Christian McCaffrey the primary receiver on that play. The defense is not expecting a passing play, let alone having the running back be the primary receiving threat in that personnel for that play. So he just does so many different things that puts his players in a position to succeed. And I mean, if you look at McCaffrey's career numbers, 2023 easily, he's had some special years, but it's the best year of his career, right? Like I said, he just won the Offensive Player of the Year. He had 1,459 yards rushing, which is easily the best of his career. The second best was back in 2019 when he had 1,300, or excuse me, when he had 1,387 yards. The difference between those 2 years is he had less attempts this year, but more yards. So, I mean, and he didn't have that many receiving yards this year, but he had 564, which is, really, really good. And it's, around average for his total career numbers. So, total this year, he had over 2,000 yards from scrimmage. He had a 5.4 yards per rushing attempt, which is, again, the best of his career by a healthy margin. And if you look at the flip side of things and you look at AK's stats, let's see, this year he had 180 rushing attempts for 694 yards, and that's good for 3.9 yards per attempt, which is, not great, right? His career average is 4.4. Last year he had 4.0 yards per attempt, and then 2021 is the only year that he had that would be a lower yardage per attempt. He had 3.7. So this past year he had his second lowest career yards per attempt. He had 466 receiving yards, which again is the second lowest of his career beside 2021. Now, he did miss a few games this year with suspension, but that's really not a huge issue here because He only played 16 games in his career one time, and that was his rookie year. Every other year he's played 15, 14, 15, 13, 15, 13. So that's not out of the ordinary for him. And just to put into perspective how, inefficient things got at times as far as using Alvin Kamara in the passing game, this past year he had 75 receptions for 466 yards. Last year, he had 490 yards with only 57 receptions. So he had way more receptions this year, but less yards. So that just goes to show you how inefficient things got at times. And, I'm hoping that with Klint Kubiak bringing this Shanahan style of offense over to New Orleans, he can make him the focal point of the offense once again, because that's exactly what Kyle Shanahan did with Christian McCaffrey. We know the skill level that Alvin Kamara has. He still has juice left in the tank. You can see it on tape. Maybe he's not the same player he was as a rookie, but who is, right? He can still make things happen. He just has to be put in the position to succeed. And I really feel like Kubiak coming over can do that for him. Another thing that'll help AK is Kubiak bringing a more diverse running game, right? The Saints run, zone and gap scheme, but they're primarily a zone running team. And Kubiak is a guy that's going to bring all kinds. He's going to run counter, trap, power, crunch, all these different types of run styles, along with the wide zone that offense is known for. Then, of course, you add the play action off of it, and you have wide open receivers down the field. And of course, the Saints have no shortage of weapons to take advantage of that with Olave, with Rashid, with A.T. Perry. So all in all, do I expect Alvin Kamara to exactly replicate the success that Christian McCaffrey had this past season in San Francisco? No, right? That was a special season that McCaffrey had. Do I expect AK to have his best season out of the last, three? I hope so, right? If what I think is going to happen, if what I think Kubiak brings to New Orleans is going to happen, then I'm expecting it. Because let's be honest, the New Orleans Saints running game this past season was awful, like horrific. They were ranked 31st in the NFL at 3.6 yards per attempt. Think about that. And by the way, number 32 also had 3.6, so they were tied for last place in terms of yards per rush, which is just, you're not going to have any type of successful offense if you can't run the ball at least a little bit. So here's to hoping Klint Kubiak can come in and breathe some life into this offense, this rushing offense, because if anything, I just hope he makes it a little more enjoyable to watch. You know what I mean? Because last year, the year prior, it felt like a chore to watch this offense on the field. So, but that is going to do it for this video. If you're a Saints fan, if you enjoy Saints content, consider hitting that subscribe button. I'm going to have a video every day. I'm going to try to post at least one video every day. I may miss a few days here and there, but only about 10% or so of the viewers on this channel are actually subscribers. So again, if you like Saints content, if you're a fan of the Saints, hit that subscribe button. It only takes half a second. I would greatly appreciate it. I would also appreciate if you give this video a thumbs up. It helps the channel out a ton, obviously. But as usual, I appreciate you guys watching. Take it easy. Peace.